morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Happy you're here. Um, so happy to have you here on this Sunday morning, January 14th of 2024. It is a beautiful, sunny, and quite cold morning here where I am, but I'm delighted that you all are all here with us for our weekly call where this is a safe space for parents and caregivers and everyone to find a moment of peace and compassion and to learn about self-love and how to better help us as we work to help our children. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I am super delighted and thrilled, actually, to have Coach Beverly Kearney back with us this morning. We were talking a little bit ago about Bev and how she has been with us as one of our incredible guests 6 times in the past, maybe even 7 times in the past, over the past 4 years. And we were sharing how much I have grown since 2020 when Bev was coaching me and loving me and trying to help me get to a new place. And so I'm so happy to have Coach Bev Kearney back. Um, Bev, I will quickly share for people who may not have been here in the past on these calls. Um, Beverly Kearney is affectionately known as Coach Bev. And I met Bev in 2007 in Austin, Texas, when we were both living there. And we met on just a complete surprise moment in an open house and saw each other, became friends shortly thereafter, and have been close friends ever since. Um, Bev Kearney is a living example that greatness is still possible despite the obstacles and the odds that we face. Bev's passion and gift for coaching, consulting, and mentoring have inspired individuals and groups in various professions to achieve their greatest success. Bev is recognized as one of the most successful coaches in NCAA history and has been inducted to various halls of fame as a sports legend, including the prestigious International Women's Sports Hall of Fame. Her record of 7 national championships is one of the highest among Black and female coaches in the country, and she is no stranger to crisis and transition. In her senior year of high school, she lost her mother, and Bev was homeless by the age of 17. Yet she never let circumstances deter her as she forged on through college and graduate school as a standout athlete and academic scholar. I'm going to let her share more of her story here with us this morning as we explore this morning's topic about how do we take the lessons of 2023 and bring them into 2024. And Bev is very clear that she articulates this about lessons instead of resolutions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Bev Kearney and say once again, thank you so much for being here this morning, Bev. I really appreciate you, as
My
always.
hair is everywhere.
Your hair is not
Hello,
everywhere. It
everybody. How are
is
you guys doing?
good.
I'm here, 65,
Mm,
feeling good and looking good. And
yes,
I
you
said
are.
it in a particular order purposefully. I'm
Mm,
feeling good and looking good. Sometimes we focus on the image we project and it doesn't come from our core and it's dark in there. And so today we're going to really dove into how to look beautiful from the inside out. And part of that is, there's a saying is that every experience, whether we see it as a positive or a negative, is a blessing because it's an opportunity for a lesson. Whether the results came out below what we anticipated or above, either one of those are a blessing. But we tend to learn our greatest lessons, not through our successes, but through our pain, believe it or not.
mm,
Because when you win, you don't think about it.
mm,
Only the people who are driven towards a purpose think about when something good happens. Okay, what does this mean? What did I learn from the situation? But when something goes wrong, we have a choice.
Mhm.
We can look to blame and who's at fault. Sometimes we say ourselves, sometimes we say others. Either way, there's no blessing in blame. You have to be open to learn. And so I'll go back to the saying, and the saying goes, as I learn, I teach. As I teach, I learn. But I can't teach what I don't learn. So the most important factor that we have coming, although it's a man-made created new year, every day can be your new year. Every day can be a new beginning. And you look back on yesterday and you say, what have I learned from what I went through? Say, for instance, you had a conflict. And a lot of times, I'm sorry, that little piece of hair is sticking up and it's bothering me. But you have a conflict, and it could be with a loved one, it could be with a child, it could be with a coworker, it could be with anyone. And the first thing, it's the easiest thing to do is first thing I'm gonna tell you to do is don't recruit, meaning that don't go and solicit support for a narrative. That's actually the second thing. The first thing is don't create the narrative from the scenario. Be careful what you're creating from the scenario, because that'll determine how you house it, the experience. But when I get into an argument, say for instance, I used to get in arguments with my daughter, and it would escalate to a point where I would just shut down in order not to say anything extremely hurtful. And or to prevent her from continuing to say something that was very hurtful, I would shut down. And shutting down frustrates the other person, because your silence isn't a silence of listening, it's a silence of frustration and anger. Those are negativities. So, we're going to talk a lot today about the art of silence.
Right. I was about to
Because
ask you about that, Bev, because when you
think
said,
about this.
go ahead, go
Think
ahead.
about this, Kelli. Think about this, and then we'll get to the question. If you were a teacher, I don't know if anyone on here ever has taught. The worst student is the student that thinks they know everything. Because when you're teaching and the student is not listening because they think they already know, or they're listening to refute what you say, that student isn't learning. And a lot of times when we're talking to people, not necessarily from a teacher's perspective, but when we're having conversations, we're listening to speak, and we have to listen to understand. There's a total difference. And with that, in order to do that, we must master the art of silence. So even if I'm not verbally speaking, you say, well, I didn't say anything. No, but if you're not in tune to what's going on behind your eyes and between your ears internally, that thing can be doing this when they're talking, and you're hearing. You ever had a bad connection and you're hearing certain components of it, but you're thinking while they're talking, so you're missing gaps? And so you're not in a place of really trying to understand. So, because when I speak back to someone, I want to speak from the place they're in, not from the place I think they should be in, not from the place. I want to know what their intent is. What are they trying to say? What are they trying to express? So I can respond in a way that connects within the conversation and doesn't create more conflict. And that's one of the most difficult things to do, because most of us are not mindful of where we are on a day to day basis behind our eyes and between our ears. We're not aware of how quickly our thoughts are. We're not aware of where we are in the moment. So, what I want to do is really let's dove into this benefits of silence. And then we're going to talk about silence and now how to extrapolate the lessons from the experiences, whether positive or negative, whether beneficial or unbeneficial. Then it becomes, I'm 65. and I've decided to live to 100. And
Mm,
I've decided that it's probably going to take me that long to learn what I came in this lifetime to learn. I'm going to need every
wow.
moment of every day in order to accomplish this.
Mm.
So, Kelli, I know you had a quick question
Oh,
before I go
no.
on.
No, no, please go on. I'll wait.
So, what is silence?
Hmm.
Silence, sometimes we think, well, I'm being quiet and I'm listening. That's not silence. And sometimes you can be in a room and not be present. You're not there. You see, in order to be silent, we look at what's external. I'm not talking, but if my mind is jumping from one thing to the other, I'm not present. If I'm coming to conclusions why they're speaking, if I'm shaking my head, no, that's not right. I've already made a decision without allowing that person to finish. And whether in the end I agree or disagree with what they're saying, and I've been accused of not listening, and I had to correct them. And I said, no, you're upset because I listened and I did not agree. I did not object to what you were saying, but I just don't agree. And sometimes we have to, I'll say, um, I'm sorry, I got a call coming in. Sometimes I'll say, hold on, I'm going to answer my daughter and let her know I'm
No
on the
problem.
Zoom
Absolutely. Always. Totally get
because
it.
it's a blessing
What
now
a
because, and
blessing.
I'm going to tell you, okay, I'm going to give you guys a blessing from my own lesson.
Yeah.
So my daughter would call me every day when she comes home, right? On her way home from work, and she would rant. I'd have to hear about this driver and this person at work and this dog because she's a high-end groomer. And it would annoy the heck out of me because I'm like, why is she so negative? And I used to try to get her to stop. So now I had to switch. I had to figure out how to switch. Um, and I had to say, okay, I would listen to her. And then I say, well, where do you think that came from? I would just ask questions as if it was the most interesting thing. I said, oh, they think they're getting you upset, huh? With moving over and everything, but you surrounded by the angels, so they don't even know they ain't gonna hit your car, huh? And I had to start just gradually importing positive without the annoyance of all the negativity.
Mm.
And after a while, I ain't gonna lie, it took about close to a year. She start she'd start on the rant and she'd go, but you know, Mom, I'm not going to let them take my energy today. I'm not going to be upset. Do what you do. But then she add, but when I'm coming through, they do need to get out the way. And I just let it go. And I just bust out and start laughing, right? Because it's not the answer I would have given, but I had to acknowledge the progress she was making and
Yes.
celebrate it.
Yes.
So instead of looking at the one thing she might have said off, I go, girl, you got it. I said, I need to remember that. And sometimes by her feeling the power and from me just saying that little thing unconsciously, ooh, I need to remember that because yesterday they got on my nerve. I said, thank you. She started trying to pour more into me.
Mm.
But remember, I said this as I teach, as I learn, I teach. But as I teach, I learn.
Mm-hmm.
So by her pouring into me, it reminded her of what she needed to do unknowingly
Mm-hmm.
because you can't teach something and not hear it first. You
Right.
it's a reminder to you as you pour into someone else, you have to extrapolate how that impacts you. And I'll admit, okay, I'm not doing that very well. Um,
If
um,
she's calling, Bev, please grab it. I can see you looking.
do you guys mind?
Of
She's
course
saying her
not.
car is.
Do what you need to do.
Hold on one
Honestly.
second. Okay, you guys, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. What you just modeled, at least to me, was what you just said, which was how do you import positivity without the annoyance of negativity? Because there could have been annoyance of, she knows I'm on the phone. I told her I'd be done. There could have been that annoyance, or it could have been like, okay,
And in the past, she would have been angry, the
uh-huh,
car, panicky. It would have been a whole, like,
yeah.
thank you, Kelly, because I have to acknowledge the fact that she had no emotions attached to it.
And
Her
she
car
responded
stopped
so
and
calm. Hmm.
we just got it serviced thanks to Kelly. Kelly helped me help her. I have to tell y'all that. Kelly is
You don't
phenomenal
have to
with
say
that.
that, but okay.
Yes, I do, but you did. You helped me to get her car fully serviced. So that's why we're surprised the oil light came on because she just got it serviced.
Hmm.
But she didn't get upset.
Hmm.
And my daughter has a low hum depression and anxiety,
Hmm.
and none of that was evident. But it's taking time to get there.
Yes.
And and and
Mm.
and who I'm modeling to her helps me to be better.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this thing called silence and how to do it. It doesn't take a long time,
Mm.
but you need to find, and the best time to do it is in the morning and in the evening, even if it's only 5 to 10 minutes of just how many times you come in the house and you just get moving. Before you get moving, just take a moment. Before you get moving in the morning, take a moment and decide how your day is going to go.
Mm.
Do a Silence allows you to do a check. Can I have silence without thought, which is why people struggle with meditation? Don't fight the thoughts. It's an opportunity for you to figure out how you're thinking, and how you're thinking determines the energy you're emanating, which determines how people are responding to you. So your check is, how am I responding to the situation internally? Not externally, internally, because people feel energies. If I go to Kelly's house, her dog is going to run to me.
Yes, she is. She
Why?
loves you.
Because I'm loving. She could care less if I'm terrified. I had to look at Kelly, go, I'm scared, right? I'm scared. And Kelly go, it's a little dog. I'm still scared of dogs. It doesn't matter. It could be that little teacup puppy, or it could be a Saint Bernard, and I'm gonna give you the same response.
Mhm.
And so, just as an animal would sense how we feel,
Mhm.
you may be saying something that you think is positive, but your kids will feel the energy behind what you're saying, and
Mm.
you're saying, "Well, why are you overreacting? This is all I said." And you can't figure it out. What it's coming from is that energy feel. Have you ever been around someone and you go, oof, I ain't gonna stay in this spot? And sometimes it's not even how they look, it's just the energy behind what they say is either disingenuous, or it's what the old people say. I'm not really an old person, but I'm just at age. I'm just of age. Is nice nasty.
Yeah.
That's what my mother used to say. Ooh, they nice nasty,
Mhm.
you know? And she said about physical and mental. And whenever they would be, my sister and them would be nice nasty, she would match the energy. So I knew not to do that. That's
Mhm.
me learning. I was a perpetual learning. I grew up in a very dangerous environment, to a point where there was alcoholism, there was physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse. And so you always had to be on guard to figure out what that word meant when they said it,
Mhm.
because motherfucker was passed around a lot in my house.
Mm.
And so you had to know whether it was part of a story, whether it's I'm about to throw hands, or whether or not it was just a part of a conversation. And you had to be aware at all points in time. You got to be aware of who's looking at you and how they're looking at you. So I became an observer by demand. And
Mhm.
there are and a lot of times we are not. We're only consumed with the hurt we carry. We're only consumed with what we want for other people. But who we are impacts everybody around us. It impacts how they respond.
Yes.
It impacts how
Mhm.
they feel. If you can
Mhm.
catch, I don't know if it's okay to say, but Kelly, I remember you saying you caught someone staring at you and your family in an odd way that wasn't very loving, and it bothered you. And where does that come from? It comes
Mhm.
from I've done nothing. I don't know where that came from. It was a great day. But over time, they start to notice certain patterns. And when they feel it again, not necessarily see it, not what you said, they respond to it. So young people could be responding to something, a behavior you had until you consistently so different. They're going to always, no matter as you're making this transition of change within you, they're going to respond to the old you
Right.
of how they felt you felt
Mm,
about them, regardless of whether and we do nice things for them. We get them all these things, but that's old school parenting. Remember, our parents were providers, and the pride they had is in that they were able to provide for us. Parents before parents were teachers because they didn't have the ability to provide.
mm,
And then there were generations of parents who were on an upward mobility that became providers. And fathers would take pride in being absent, but providing.
mhm,
And then you had situations where parents were working 3 and 4 jobs.
mhm,
So it's not the amount of time that we have, it's the quality of time that we spend. So if a parent is working 3 jobs to take care of you, then at the end of the day, it's those moments. This was
mm,
my grandmother's. I'm 65. This was my grandmother's silence.
mm,
She would come home from cleaning people's houses because that's what she did. She cleaned white people's houses, which by far was the best thing for me because I would go with her to work, and she was so meticulous that she taught me to be meticulous on everything I did. But I tried to be as meticulous and fast as possible because the more I could do, the less she had to do. Even though I was only in the fourth and fifth grade, I was working.
mhm.
But when she came home and she'd have to cook for us, this is my grandmother's silence. And I don't know please tell me if you've ever experienced this. She'd be in the kitchen and you hear, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and it would be the hum.
Mhm.
And I could tell by the hum whether she's troubled or at peace because the hum would go like this. Mm-hmm. That's a little pain in there. It's been a rough
Mhm.
day.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I would go in, and I had a big grandmother. I had the I had the grandmother that you imagine a grandmother should look like.
Mhm.
And I would go in and I'd hug my grandmother from the back. And she said, "Go on, girl, get on out of here."
Mhm.
And she'd be smiling. And I didn't know that then. But when I thought back on it as an adult, her hum would change.
Yeah. Mm,
That was something intuitive in me because I wanted to be the space in the space of pain that gave peace.
mm, mhm.
And I spent my whole life trying to bring that space. Like my daughter and I do not get off the phone. And normally we go, because I had to tell her I love her every day, every time we get on the phone. And then they started to expect it and give it back. And then
Mhm.
it became now, you know what it is? I love you. Nope, love you more. And it
Oh,
would be who
that's
can
awesome.
hang up the first, who can hang up first. So it became part of a feeling and a game. It's like, no, I love you more. Bye.
Yeah.
And sometimes you wouldn't even get the bye because it would be, no, I'm going to love you more than you could ever love me.
Oh,
And it's that genuineness of that moment. It doesn't take a PS5.
that's right. Sometimes
Doesn't
just the
take a
time.
vacation to the
Mhm.
island where you're all still distant.
Mhm.
Sometimes it doesn't take a trip to Disney World where there's so much noise. It's not the Disney visit. It's what are you doing when you get into the hotel room?
Mhm. Yeah.
Are you taking the time to laugh or are you getting on the phone? Let me get this work done and then so I'll be present when we're at the place. But when you're at the place, you're full of people, noise.
Mhm.
Silence is the absence of noise. It's what am I doing in those moments that will prepare for this moment? And because I'm in a place of understanding, I saw the change in her. And I'm acknowledging, wow, she's handling this very well. And
Mhm.
um, I'm really proud of her. And I'm
Yes.
going to let her know that. in that moment, but I'm not going to make a big deal of it. I said, you handled that. I got to give you your props on that.
Right.
And then I'm going to move on. I'm not going to make a big deal. I'm not going to have an expectation of what she's going to say back. But when you're in a perpetual place of learning, you begin to notice things. And when you're in a perpetual place of silence, where you're not victimizing with the narrative that you're telling yourself, why isn't my more like, and what do I need to do to find? Because if I don't have peace, there's no peace anywhere.
Right.
I can't bring non peace into an environment and expect to be reciprocated with peace.
Mm-hmm.
I got to walk in the room. Okay, I'm a coach. Y'all just got to know I coach. I coach.
Yes.
And I find so many people, whether they want me to coach them in life or physically or whatever the case may be, spiritually, mentally, they bring it to me to fix it. There's nothing broken. It's just choices. If
Mm.
we can get away from needing to fix broken, we start with us because we walk around broken and don't acknowledge it, but we see everybody else's.
There's something I want to just comment and someone put something in the chat. So, I think what I'm hearing you saying is like choosing an empowering response. You know what I mean? In a space of peace is what
Yes,
you've done so beautifully. And I think it's what all of us are learning to do. It's choosing peace and positivity and being
but you can
grateful.
do that
Hmm.
by learning to be silent to listen to you.
Mm,
Have you stopped to listen to the narratives that we tell ourselves? And the only way to do that is when I go into my silence and my mind starts trickling, I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to say, no, I need to be quiet. I want to hear what I'm thinking. Because sometimes we're thinking things, com- we're telling ourselves these narratives about ourselves and about our family and about the people we love, especially, and we don't see the presence of where they are.
mhm,
And I don't care where, I always tell Kelli this, I don't really care where a person is. I'm concerned about where they need to go.
mhm.
What is your desire? What is your purpose? What is your dream? What is your vision for you?
Vision.
And that vision doesn't have to be people, place, or thing. It could be, it first has to be how do I want to be internally in the space I'm in?
So how do you do that? There's a woman that put in the chat, think when you were talking about um, sometimes the response from your loved ones or your child, your grown children could be dealing with the person in the past, right? And you're working
Mm-hmm.
right now to be a different person. The person says, I'm doing my best to be better. And my son continues to respond to the old me, and I don't know how to move forward. So it's
Because
Mhm.
if that's the case, then you are trying to change someone else. Don't allow how somebody else is responding to you determine whether you keep working on being better at what you do and who you are and who you desire to be.
To keep
Because,
focus. Hmm.
like, give you an example.
Hmm.
I'm going to say I love you. So you need to tell me I love you back.
Hmm.
I want to give you this so you can give me that. There's an expectation on our change. No, it's like, okay, I dedicated myself for a whole week to training and I still don't see a result. What is that called? It's the ability to self discipline,
Hmm.
to do it repeatedly over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And there is no time. You see, man made time, not God.
Hmm.
So what are we always doing? Oh, y'all like my watch?
It's
I
pretty.
blinged it out.
Yeah, it's nice.
I just put a little blinger on there because that's who I am. But anyway, what are we always doing? Gotta go. Gotta go. My daughter said, I can't move the car. I ended up in a handicapped spot, so I'll just wait here for you. I said, absolutely.
Mm.
I didn't press because I made her aware that I was going to be on this Zoom call early. So she's not pressing me so that she can get to work. She's saying, thank you. She said, thank you. My old daughter wouldn't have did that. Mom, you're thinking everybody else is more important than me.
Mm.
It's a process to get there. I had to be consistently who I desired to be in the space and love her no matter what. as hard as it was, I had to keep moving. And then I removed myself from the space at times. Kelli knows me and my daughter just moved back in together to save money because I'm on a mission to buy a house. I never
Mhm.
thought I would be able to own a house again. And somehow God planted that in me, and that seed in me. I'm barely making bills, but I know I'm going to get it. I don't know how, I don't know when, I know where, because I go to the spot and claim it. And I began to see my daughter the same way. I
Mm,
had to see the goodness in her. I had to see the kid that I know is loved beyond the pain, the hurt.
that's right.
And here's one thing I want you guys to remember is this.
Mm,
The atmosphere y'all grew up in is not the atmosphere they grew up in.
exactly. Yeah.
So teaching them what you learned when you were growing up is not as relevant. The philosophy of it is, the principle of it is, the methodology and the wording, everything is totally shifted.
Mm,
There was a time parents worried about safety and being lynched. There were times when integration was happening. There were times when there's always been social unrest and war, but there everybody's always talked about each other behind their back. It's just that now, because of social media, imagine everything when you were growing up that somebody negative had to say to you, you read it, or somebody repeated it to you what they read that somebody said about you. That's what they're growing up in. You see, what you don't know don't hurt you.
that's right.
Like, I think one of the most brutal shows they have is Cheaters, where they're literally, this guy is making, a black guy is making a living on YouTube, going up and saying, can we look at each other's phone? How long y'all been together? And just destroying relationships and walking off. Sometimes people are aware, sometimes people aren't aware, but that's none of our business. Allow them to work things out in the space that they're in. But we're looking to get likes at the cost of our young people's internal being. And so, how do we heal that? In the space of constant hurt and in the conscious space that they're always being judged. So, when they come home and they feel you're being judgy, they can't argue with the people in the street. Who they can argue with, though?
Us.
Sometimes they're taking the pain of what's happening outside of them and what's happening behind their eyes and between their ears because they're scared. I always look at my daughter as a scared little kid, and I always have empathy for her, even when she's being an asshole.
Mm,
And I promise you it gets better because she's far less of a jerk. And she goes, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to, and I'm emotional right now. My cycle's on. I said, all right, you could have stopped that. I'm sorry. You gave me too much information, but I appreciate it. And you go, that's what you get for making me open up.
mm,
So we have to first be silent to hear ourselves and what we're thinking and our mindsets about them,
mm,
about our life,
mm,
because a perpetual victim will always draw a victimizer.
mm. Yes.
And if we're not understanding, if we I don't feel sorry or sympathy, if you're feeling, how do you say this? Feel empathy towards your children, understanding.
Right.
Sympathy is, I feel sorry for you. How many people like, I feel sorry for you?
Mm-mm.
Hated it.
Right.
Or empathy is, I understand what you're going through.
Mm,
And I'm sorry you feel that way. And you don't have to say that, but that's how you have to feel. And that makes me listen. And I listen and I can give more thoughtful responses in the moment because in that moment you can do damage that will last. Now, I've dealt with young people a lot. They hold on to everything because they have not been taught and given safe places to release it. And the other
mm.
thing they do, they go to other young people for support.
That's right.
You see, they think they're going for advice. They're going for support. You'll find that as you pour into your kids, they take it. You're planting seeds, and they'll find themselves repeating that to them to their friends as if it's their own. So be careful what you do because they're going to mimic it out in society. And either you're going to be the new standard by which they move in eventually, or you're going to be a contributor.
Mm.
And I've decided to stay in my lane and just be the standard. I want to be the model that I hope to see
Mm.
them in. I have no expectations that she would or that she wouldn't. I just decided what I would be. And that's all you can do in your space. But without silence, internal silence, where you're really listening to when they're speaking or when someone else is speaking, listen to the whole conversation.
Mm.
We listen with the ideology to respond. Or if they're saying 10 things, one thing they can say will turn us off and we don't hear nothing else.
That's that part. Uh-huh.
Because you sitting there like, what the hell? And who they and why? Mm. So even when you're in the car, sometimes take a couple of minutes in the car and cut everything off. It allows too much chatter, too much negativity affects us physically.
Mm-hmm.
It affects us mentally. It affects us creatively. And it affects how we move in our business relationships, professional relationships, and our personal relationships. So you have to be in tune with you
Mm-hmm.
because you change you and you change everything around you. Stop wasting your energy trying to change everything and everybody around you so that you can be okay. Once you're okay, you give everybody else around you permission to be okay. Once you're present, you almost give them the model that they have to be present. They'll match your energy unknowingly.
Mm-hmm.
They're mimickers, they're not creators.
That's right.
So either they're going to mimic you. In fact, they bring their friends to me. You need to go talk to my mom. Mom, all my friends at TCU can't Grammy. They said, I can't believe we ain't met Grammy in person yet. So I have to go next week when I go see her.
Mm.
I know I'm going to see about 6 kids that thinks I'm their Grammy too.
That's awesome.
But it's how we move in our spaces. I love every single person on this call, and I hope through the grace of God, you can feel the love that I have for you and all that I do and all that I say. So choose silence. I don't care if it's only 5 minutes, but you need that for you. When you get home, instead of rushing into doing something, take a moment, sit, and decompress. I don't care if it's your favorite cup of coffee, favorite cup of tea, or just a glass of wine. I do the opposite. I got a glass of water in a teacup, just
Yeah.
choose it. In the morning before you get going, decide, take a moment, check yourself, see how you're going to do, and then declare how your day is going to be.
Mm.
Deliberate. This right
Mm.
here,
Yes.
it's a journal. And every night, you need to put down 3 things you were grateful for during the day. Ooh, didn't run into a red light on that long strip. Ooh, got
Mm-hmm.
home 10 minutes faster. It could be the smallest things of gratitude
Mm.
because you want to go to bed with gratitude so that more gratitude can be fulfilled within you the next day.
Mm. I love
I
that.
went to, I went to, I ordered the same thing at every restaurant that I go to so the people know me. In fact, if they see me walk up the subway, they already have my sandwich ready. They tell me, Coach, don't go in line. And these people don't know me. I haven't been here that long, but they begin to feel you, and it begins to take it personal, and then you begin to get personal service. So one time I didn't order my soup at the restaurant, and they said, Coach, we saw your order, and you said that you forgot the soup, so we just gifted it to you.
Wow.
It's the little things of gratitude. Kelly heard I was moving, figured I needed help, and goes, I'm going to send you a little something to help you with your move. And I'm looking at God like, how she know I needed help move with the move, but how's going to make it happen? So instead of me stressing my whole body and my family's body out, my daughter's body out to move, we were able to get the local guys who come in I just got to make a phone call because they love me. Because I talked to them about them and their families the last time they moved me, and they give me a discount. So it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I got moved in one day. But those are the little things when I'm deliberate about the
Mm-hmm.
space I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
God, God, I promise y'all, God gonna show out. Not
Always.
just with the people. See, we always project, like when we have, I know I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna wrap this up really quickly. But we project, like
We
when we
do.
go listen to somebody speak, we go, I wish so and so was here. No, it's for you,
Mm,
and you are for them. How you show up in that space is for them, but you're responsible for how you show up in the space.
that's
I'm
right.
not responsible for them, how they show up in the space. I will tell you only one thing
Mm,
that I said 2024. I'm leaving behind anything that does not benefit my heart.
mm,
I'm leaving behind anger. I'm leaving behind victimization.
mm.
I'm holding on to creativity, to love, because in peace, in silence, have you ever gotten silent and ideas just start coming in your head? And then the old you comes back in and goes, well, that don't make no sense. You don't have this, that they aren't doing this, and this ain't going to happen. You're worried about the process of how to change and impact and help your children as opposed to the consistency of the present moment.
Mm.
And we talk ourselves out of what we want. And then we're always starting over. No, stay consistent. Self discipline. Start with self discipline in silence. Gift yourself 5 minutes.
Mm.
You would give someone else an hour of your time to listen to their shit. Even if you done heard it 10 times, you do. But then you will not give yourself 5 to 10 minutes. Come
Mm,
on now.
mm, mhm, mm.
If I treat myself, I don't have an expectation of need to be treated by somebody else. I take the pressure off of everybody. I'm good. I'm good with me.
I love that.
Like I love me some me. How many times y'all say that? Somebody give me some comments. How many times do you recognize I've been through a lot and I'm still standing, so I still growing?
I'm still here. That's right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to compliment yourself and don't be and lovingly self-correct. Lovingly self-correct. Don't be in the bed going, I can't believe this happened again. That ain't loving.
Right.
That ain't loving for you. And then you create an energy for the person the next day of unlovingness, and you'll
Mhm.
be sitting there going, I ain't even say nothing. You know,
Mm. I
you
love
know
all
how you
of that.
feeling on the inside. Stop playing.
Absolutely. Stop
So
playing.
gift yourself 5 minutes of silence, morning and night, and during the day, periodically. Whenever you find yourself not in a space that you feel good, do internal checks. How do I feel in this moment? And sometimes you just and watch what you listen to. We're in a time where these kids are getting bombarded, but so are you with a bunch of negativity.
That's right.
Watch what you listen to, watch who you're around, watch the social media aspect. Everything is so instantaneous, but they're selling off of negativity. Like Cat Williams' interview, I'm going to say this and then I'll just let go. Cat Williams' interview, I didn't watch the whole interview, I just saw excerpts here and there. Everybody gravitated to what he said about someone else. But if you really listen, he dropped some jewels about life, but that gets talked about less. It's a choice. Watch what you're gravitating to because it'll tell you where you are. I
Mm.
was like,
Mm.
I'm the richest man in the world. Because every day I wake up, is what he said, something to that effect. I have what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can move in that space, it makes things easier to come to me.
Yes. Absolutely. Before we
So,
close, Bev, I want to make sure all these wonderful words of wisdom and jewels that you have dropped this morning, I want to make sure if anybody wants to ask a question before we close, that they have an opportunity. They can hit *6 if they're on their phone or come off or put a note in the chat. But you've shared so many incredible jewels, incredible, incredible jewels.
and put
Um,
everybody back up on the screen
some
if they're
people,
still
it is a
there.
safe space. It is a safe space.
Yeah. No,
So
I was
some,
just saying
okay,
if
oh,
they
to
wanted to
vision.
come on, feel free
Okay.
to.
Yeah.
But
Feel
if you
free.
have any questions, please do. Or
Oh,
any comments, we'd love to hear it. And just know you're loved
know you're loved.
Good,
more than anything
good,
else.
good morning, Beverly. It's Susan. How are you?
Hey, Miss Susan.
Good, good. I would love for you to. You did some coaching for me a few days ago, and I would love to you to speak about the need to be right and why, and the ego inside of those types of need to be right. Just briefly on giving any advice around that, even when you know that it could be, things could just be peaceful if we weren't pressed to actually have someone just admit they're wrong and you're right.
You know, whenever we get to a point on our journey where, I'll put it this way, would you rather be right in conflict or be at peace in purpose? And sometimes we battle people over the smallest issues, and we create that ideology within them that this person is full of conflict. And you're almost negating yourself. The need to be right comes from our ego. Our journey on our purpose comes from our spirit. They're two different places. They don't even like each other. They don't even work together. You need the ego to let you know it has a place, to let you know I can. But you need the spiritual journey. You need the internal. You need the heart. You need the love of what you do. I'm not concerned. I've had a person be dead wrong, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I understand. So, but we can get that out, right? Yeah, we can get that out. I got it. My goal is to get the information out or to get the thing done. You ain't got to admit to me that you messed it up. Let's just fix it. How do we, okay, I understand what you were trying to do. This is what we need to do. How do we get there? But when I start engaging with you about the mistake you made, I'm not focused on the direction I'm going in. I'm not focused on what the goal is. Do you want to be productive, or do you want to be perfect? There's no such thing as perfect production. There's no such thing as a perfect process. Don't get caught up in the process of how we get there, as opposed to we're getting there. How can we get there more efficiently and effectively? And we create conflict because we're in conflict. You can't create where you already are. So you have to check yourself. You see, a boss isn't necessarily in charge. A real boss, a real leader is a servant. Your job is to get the best out of the people around you in whatever way possible. You're not the law, right and wrong. And even that's subjective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's objective too.
Mm-hmm.
What does my opinion of you matter to you more than your opinion of yourself? And then we go and we recruit. So please do not recruit. You see that in them too, right? Because we want to be right. No, I want to be great. You can't be right and great, because every great person made mistakes. They'll tell you about electricity. It ain't the real truth, because God knows we was a part of all the things that were created within the society and didn't get credit. But imagine how many tries the slave made to make the cotton gin in order to save his people and his family from dying in the fields.
Mm.
He had a driven purpose. We forget our purpose and want to be right. You know how many mistakes he had to make, being uneducated, being unfamiliar, and just being brilliant? When you are driven by a purpose, the process no longer becomes a hindrance. And I don't know if that's making sense. Even with your kids, same thing. You may be right, but is this the right time to be right?
Mm-mm.
Is that your purpose in here? They're young. They're going to be doing stupid stuff.
That's right.
Be consistent in how you move. Be consistent in how you walk in a room. And the only way to be consistent is to be present. And to be present is to be aware of who you are in this space, in this moment. We're always aware of everything and everybody else, but we're not aware of us. And sometimes we get too comfortable with who we were. Well, my face just looks like this. Well, this is just how I sound. Well, if you don't want the responses you're getting back, shift.
Love that.
So
Love that.
I just want to tell you guys to not forget this. Find something where every night, and I need you to physically write it, not type it. Physically write it, because there's a connection as you're writing. You're not typing a letter, you're writing a word. You're writing a feeling of things that you are grateful for.
And I also
Every night.
Every night. Okay. And I also want to remind people that Bev has an incredible book available on
And I'm
Amazon.
going to do a workbook, and I hope you guys get it when it's completed. I'm working on it now. It's called Believing, Speaking, Doing.
Believing,
A
Speaking,
journey of peace
Doing.
and purpose.
Yes. And the book is called Believe It, Speak It, do it.
Yes.
And so it
And
is a
this is going to
fantastic
be
book,
an active
workbook.
how-to book behind it. But yes, that's my
Fantastic.
vision.
And
So
you're
I
going to own
love you
it.
guys, and I'm so honored that you had me back again. And I hope something that I've said
Yes,
has benefited you in some way on your journey. That's my
absolutely.
prayer every time I step into a space. Let
Mm.
me be of benefit to someone.
You
And
have
you
been
know you
phenomenal.
have it when you walk in a space and somebody says something to you that lets you know they needed you in that space.
Yes.
I've walked into an airport or a building and some random person has just started a conversation and begins to tell me. That's when I know things about what they've been through. And it gives me a chance to touch them. But if I don't walk into the space open, I don't get that. So sometimes watch how people are responding to you. And instead of worrying about how they're responding, check you.
Mm.
And that's the love of you that you deserve. I love you. I appreciate you in this space. And just know consistency and self discipline
Mm.
of self will change everything else around you.
Mm.
But don't make a move with the ideology that it's going to change someone else overnight if you're
Mm.
not changing you.
That part
That's
right
it.
there. Thank you so much. I know that this hour has been really impactful for me, and someone just said this was for me today. I am grateful. Someone just put that in the chat. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to close us out in a prayer today, and say thank you, Father, for allowing Bev Kearney to share so many incredible lessons this morning. Help us remember that there's no blessing in blame. Help us to choose silence.
Mm,
Those are your words. Help us, Father, to choose know that there's no blessing in blame. Help us to choose silence and listen more. Help us to learn to plant seeds and stop fighting. Help us, Father, love our children unconditionally, untraditionally, and know that they're on their personal journeys, not ours. As we move forward in 2024, God, help us leave behind anger, frustration, worry, stress. Let us stay consistent with self-discipline and choose silence. We also ask that you continue to cover and protect our children and keep them safe. Here's to a peaceful, powerful, positive, productive, and loving week. Amen.
amen. All right, my sister girls and my people, I love you. Have a
Thank
blessed,
you.
blessed, blessed journey.
Thank you so much, Bev. Appreciate you and love you more, as your daughter would say. And I want to
Nope,
tell,
love you guys more.
absolutely, love you, love you. I want to just say Brandy Harvey will be with us next week. She's one of Steve Harvey's daughters. And so look forward to hearing her journey as well. Everybody have an incredible week. Thank you for being here. Have an awesome day.